I had the amazing opportunity of playing both Immortal and Universa early, the two new characters for Season 1 of Invincible Versus that is just about to come out, and today we're going to talk about their moveset and what makes them special, unique, and fun to play. Of course, a huge thank you to the team behind Invincible Versus for giving me this opportunity. Like and subscribe, I truly appreciate the support, and now let's get into the breakdown. So let's talk first about Immortal, because he was to me the big surprise of the early access and the limited time that we had to try the characters out. At first I played Immortal and I thought, okay, this character is really simple and straightforward, but then there's layers and layers into his moveset and it gets super fun to play, to be honest. So he has relatively decent normals like up close and in the mid-range, and then his special moves are super simple, like he has a neutral skip that is similar to others of the neutral skips in the game, but a bit worse in terms of range. Then he has kind of like a Rekka style move that you can use in strengths and up close for pressure. The EX or boosted version of the Rekka also has armor, and then he also has a DP or a Shoryuken style move that you can use in the ground. And if you boost it or use the EX version again, like with the case of the Rekka, it also has armor. Even though I think it is not a true like reversal DP, many of the armor DPs in this game are still insanely good for defense, so Immortal has that and is really strong because it is essentially a combo starter. And then if you do the DP motion in the air, or you use just the DP move, you know, in the air if you're not using motion inputs in the game with your controller layout, you get a dive kick, okay? Actually a really good dive kick. If you do it normally, it works as a combo starter, and if you charge it, it even gives you a ground bounce. So the moveset is really simple, like I said, super straightforward, but relatively fun, you know, kind of like a rushdown style character with a couple of moves to open you up and just keep the pressure going, and also kind of mix you up with the Rekka and also the dive kick if you have the opportunity to use assists in between and all of that stuff. Then his combo kind of like structure is also relatively simple. You just use, you know, the Rekka or your normals into like a launcher into the air, then you do the dive kick EX to get the ground bounce to extend the combo, and then you do one of your supers and boom, you get kind of like your regular BMB. So the character overall, like I said, really straightforward and really simple. But here is where things start, you know, to get spicy with what we're going to talk about now. So the first thing is that one of the supers that Immortal has is actually kind of like an install, or it gives him a power-up, okay? And a part of that is that when the super's up and the buff is actually active, you can do reverse speed with Immortal. What that means, if you don't know what it is that on a fighting game, generally when there is, for example, light, medium, and heavy normals, you can only do them on a chain, you know, one into the other from the smallest to the biggest. But if a character has reverse beat, then that means that you can do, for example, heavy into medium into light. It gives you the opportunity to do crazy combos because there's much more freedom on how to use the normals. Then also the kind of like meter that there is for combos in this game, when you have that buff or that install because of the super that Immortal has, the meter, it seems like it gets, you know, fill on a slower pace. So Immortal, when he has the buff up, can do longer and more damaging combos. And also if you do that super that gives you the buff again and you're close to a wall, it gives you a wall bounce. So what all of this means is that when you have that buff, you know, that install up, the combo structure and the level of freedom that Immortal has as a character gets crazy, okay? You can do whatever you want with your combos. They can be insanely cool and unique and actually do a lot of damage as well. So I would say that he's a pretty good anchor character because of this freedom that he can get for damage and combo structure, and he actually uses meter really well. Or another reason that we're going to talk about right now, but the first one is really the install super. Like, it's so fun to use, really unique, and the fact that it gives him reverse speed and also makes the combos longer and more damaging is just so fun, and it makes the character feel like he has, you know, a unique spot in terms of moveset and what he can do in the roster of the game. But then on top of all this stuff that we've been talking about, another reason why Immortal feels unique and fun to play and can also be a pretty good anchor or last pick for your team is that he has a revive, okay? If you fill up the condition of having 3 bars of super meter or more, and you're playing Immortal and he loses his entire health bar, he actually resurrects, which is really strong by principle, right? Like by definition, having a revive in a fighting game is really strong and cool. It makes the character feel really unique. I don't know how crazy or broken it's gonna be, taking into account that at a base level, I would say that his moveset can be a bit weaker than other characters, and it feels like Immortal is pretty much designed around this idea of like meter management. Many of the things that make him good are connected to super meter, so it just seems like he has a really cool and unique design, and I'm pretty happy that they took that approach with the character because he feels different from everybody else in the roster. Another good detail actually is that the revive gives you the install from the level 1 super at the same time, so really strong. Like, the guy comes back and also with the buff for install on top, it's gonna be really fun to play Immortal when you have the opportunity. The character was a blast to discover. And then as something extra, actually Immortal's assists are also pretty good, okay? Both of his assists can be used pretty decently to kind of like cut the space in neutral, do combos and more. So if you want to use Immortal as the next character in your team, you have the revive, the buff with the level 1 install, then you also have a good assist for your point characters. Like, he's pretty good in my opinion and really fun to play. But let's also talk about Universa. To me, the character is a bit more tricky at a baseline level than Immortal. Like, her moveset, I would say, is a bit like less traditional when you compare it to the rest of the cast. She has really good range in terms of normals. Like, she has mad good range in her buttons, and then she has a lot of projectiles, and even you could say that a couple of them you can use it almost as set play, especially the EX or like boosted versions of a couple of the projectiles. So she is in many ways like a hybrid zoner, long range and normal character. Like, that is her archetype, I would say. Is mostly about zoning and then about playing in the mid range with really big normals. And then her combo structure can also feel a bit less traditional than the other characters in the game. But the two main things that make Universa really unique and special as a character when compared to the rest of the cast of the game is that number one, she has a special move that is essentially kind of like a stab up close, and if you get hit by it, Universa drains your boost meter, which seems really strong, you know, on paper, because boost meter is so important in this game to many of the universal mechanics, and even also to extend combos and do your EX or like boosted meter moves, right? So the fact that Universa can just take away some of the boost meter from you every time that she hits you with this special move or with a combo, because you can end your combos with this special move consistently over and over, then maybe it's gonna be quite a strong mechanic that is unique to her as a character. Even though she doesn't really get much of the boost meter herself, when she drains it from you, like, the main goal is just taking it away from you as the opponent, not necessarily getting that resource for Universa, is still really strong. So that's one of the things that makes her really unique. And then the other thing that makes Universa special or unique is that she has another mechanic in which she's able to use double of the boost meter for her EX or boosted versions of her special moves, okay? It seems really strong at first, but it is very resource dependent. So the fact that you use boost meter to some of the other universal mechanics in the game that are so good, especially like breaking combos, something so important like that, you will probably kind of save some of the meter for that instead of using the double like boosted meter versions of her special moves. But if you have an opportunity to do the version of the special move that has the double like boost meter for it, they can be really strong and super good to use depending on the context. So I have to say that this makes, you know, Universa really unique as a character, but I don't know if I would just spam, you know, the double boosted versions of her special moves. You're probably gonna suffer a lot if you do that while you're playing the character, but it's still really unique and can be quite strong. And then there's other stuff in her moveset that can seem quite fun and strong. For example, she has a dive kick. She also has a full screen projectile super, again going around, you know, the zoning part of her moveset. Like, it's really leaning into it. And the level 1 super that she has, that is a full screen projectile, can be quite good for zoning as well. And then she has this other super that is kind of like a barrier, okay? And it makes her actually invulnerable to other projectiles. It really reminded me of C. Broly from Dragon Ball FighterZ, actually. And this super, I would say, can actually be quite good if you have a matchup in which the other character is very dependent on projectiles. It can be quite strong as a tool, and again, makes Universa pretty unique, because from what I understand, this is the only character in the game that has this style of like anti-projectile barrier move in the entire roster. So really fun, unique. I really actually enjoyed playing Universa as well, even though she can feel a bit more tricky for me, at least when compared to Immortal. And I did, you know, enjoy Immortal more because of everything that we've been talking about in this video. But both of the characters are really cool, unique, and fun, and their design super special, which I'm really happy, you know, that they're following this path in which they're trying to make each new character feel unique and also not, you know, as an imitation of other of the characters in the roster. So big thank you again to the devs and the team behind Invincible Versus for giving me the opportunity to have early access, you know, record all of this and make a special video for the game. I truly appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video or you just want to support me. It is actually more significant than you think when you like or subscribe to the channel. I truly appreciate it, and see you on the next one. Take care.